Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Aster DM Healthcare Q3 FY21 conference call hosted by Elara Securities Private Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Param Desai from Elara Securities Private Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Malika. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Elara Capital, I welcome you all for Aster DM Healthcare's Q3 FY21 results. From Aster Management, we have with us today Dr. Azad Moopen, Chairman and Managing Director, Ms. Alisha Moopen, Deputy Managing Director, Mr. Srinath Reddy, Group CFO, Dr. Harish Pillai, CEO Aster India, and Mr. Amitabh Johri, CFO GCC. I will now hand over the call to Dr. Moopen for his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Desai. Thank you all for joining today's call, our quarter 3 earnings call. As we bid farewell to an unprecedented calendar year in the history of mankind, we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel with the rolling out of the COVID-19 vaccine in many countries. India, apart from being very aggressive in vaccination drive, has also become the supplier of vaccine to many parts of the world, which will help to contain the global pandemic at the earliest. In the GCC states, where we have most of our operations, there has been a downward trend in the COVID cases. But in UAE, the cases have increased recently as the second wave has set in. The good news is that UAE ranks second in terms of vaccination rollout, with over one-third of the total population already receiving the vaccine, including the AstraZeneca vaccine from India. In India, the daily COVID cases are at all-time low, and the vaccine rollout is also progressing well. In Kerala, where majority of our Indian business lies, the COVID cases are still high due to a late start and spiking of the pandemic, but we hope that this will also come down soon. In the year 2020, accessibility meant shifting the healthcare delivery model to the homes of our patients where they feel safe and comfortable. Through use of technology and business re-engineering, we introduced teleconsultation, issuance of prescription, delivery of medicine, doing lab tests, and providing home care to our patients. We are diversifying our business model through home care services, diagnostics, e-pharmacy, etc. We are also focused heavily on controlling costs across the group through improving efficiencies of manpower and shared services. We are in the process of rolling out of our lab and pharmacy businesses in India, which besides being asset-light allows us to provide end-to-end services to our patients. During the third quarter, we posted a revenue of rupees 2,259 crores, which is a decrease of 0.4% when compared to the previous quarter, and a decrease of 3% when compared with the same period last financial year. A big part of this is attributable to the COVID impact in the GCC states, which has resulted in revenue shrinkage of 5%, while revenues in India has increased by 7.5% compared with the same period last financial year. The EBITDA in Q3 was rupees 328 crores, an increase of 21% when compared to previous quarter, but a decrease of 15% compared with the same period last financial year. The profit after tax post NIC for quarter 3 was rupees 92 crores, an increase of rupees 59 crores when compared to previous quarter, but a decrease of 47 crores compared with the same period last financial year. Our Group CFO, Srinath Reddy, will take you through the details of the financial and segmental performance for the quarter 3 and 9 months of the financial year. I feel relieved that we have been able to tide over the pandemic without too much of issues, and I feel confident looking forward in view of the waning of the COVID-19 in the geographies that we operate. We are venturing out to the Western Hemisphere with our hospital in Caribbean, which shall add a new chapter in the history of Aster. This, I hope, would enable Aster to survey very high potential market. We have just signed a long-term agreement with Cayman Islands government to build Aster Cayman MedCity, a 150-bed multi-specialty hospital in the next 3 years. Close to the USA mainland with 90 minutes flight time from Miami, the project would cater to America and Canada apart from the entire Caribbean islands and South America. This will allow us to provide quality healthcare at affordable cost to the population in USA and the neighboring places. Aster's experience in tertiary and quaternary care with our clinical and service excellence and our international experience will help in delivering this. The project is expected to add to our geographical diversification and at the same time allow us to increase the addressable market. At Aster, we are evaluating various models to make it asset light and at the same time allowing to meet our ambitions for expansion. In India, our new initiatives such as Aster Labs, Telehealth, and Aster at Home have continued to see increase in business volume. Aster Labs has so far conducted more than around 60,000 COVID tests, including government and private hospital samples. Aster at Home, the home care division, is already very active in Kerala and Bangalore. We have received some awards, the IHW Award, the 2020 for the best home healthcare services and innovation for home critical care services. On the occasion of the Aster DM Healthcare's 34th Foundation Day, the organization has announced the Aster Free In, a program to provide 10,000 free medical investigations like MRI and CT scans in the next 1 year across India to the patients who are facing financial difficulties. I expect 2021 to be a year of hope, recovery, and building upon the new foundations that the world has set in 2020. I now request the Group CFO to walk you through the financial numbers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Over to Srinath.
Good day. Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. Good day, everyone. As Chairman mentioned in his speech, the vaccination rollout all over the world has given signs of hope to everyone, though the fight for COVID is still not over. We are seeing unusual trends and recovery in different geographies. In Q2, we had a good quarter, but in Q3, travel restrictions were eased and people started traveling out. This had an impact on our business. For Q3 FY21, our revenue from operations was rupees 2,259 crore, which is similar to Q2 revenue of rupees 2,268 crore. But on a year-on-year basis, revenue declined by 3% and corresponding constant currency declined at 6%. This is largely on account of reduction of revenue in GCC, where hospital occupancy and ALOS have been affected by COVID. The revenues in GCC has reduced by 5%, whereas in India, where COVID-related impact is waning off, we saw a 7.5% revenue increase. In Q3 FY21, we have reported EBITDA of rupees 328 crore, which is 21% higher than the previous quarter of rupees 271 crore, but a 15% decline on a year-on-year basis. In constant currency terms, the decline is 18%. EBITDA margin in Q3 FY21 was 14.5% as against 16.6% in Q3 FY20, a reduction of around 210 basis points. Q3 of previous year was one of our best quarters. During the current quarter, reduced footfalls in all segments had an impact on profitability. PAT decreased by 34% to rupees 92 crore as compared to rupees 139 crore during Q3 last year. Coming to 9 months performance, revenue from operations for FY21 decreased by 2% year-on-year to rupees 6,287 crore from rupees 6,437 crore on account of COVID, which had significantly impacted our Q1 revenues for the current year. We have seen recovery in Q2 and Q3 of the current year. EBITDA for 9 months, excluding other income, decreased by 13% from rupees 854 crore in FY20 9 months to rupees 742 crore in FY21 for 9 months, which was mainly due to the adverse impact in Q1 of the current financial year. PAT decreased from rupees 146 crore in FY20 to rupees 42 crores in FY21 for a 9-month period. The constant currency decline for revenue and EBITDA for 9 months is 7% and 17% respectively. Coming to the segmental performance for the quarter, the hospital occupancy during the period dropped to 47% in GCC compared to 61% in FY20 Q3, resulting in drop in EBITDA margin. EBITDA decreased by 21% on a year-on-year to rupees 143 crore in Q3 FY21. The EBITDA margin decreased from 22.9% in Q3 FY20 to 17.9% in Q3 FY21. However, in India, the situation in many of the geographies has normalized with both OP and IP patients coming back. Revenue has gone up by 8% year-on-year, but EBITDA marginally declined by rupees 2 crore due to the increase in material costs, mainly in Kerala cluster, where COVID cases continue to be on the rise. Now coming to the GCC clinic segment, revenue is at 536 crore during Q3 compared to rupees 543 crore in Q3 for the same period last year. EBITDA was at rupees 115 crore in Q3 FY21 compared to rupees 100 crore in Q3 FY20. The EBITDA margin increased to 21.4% compared to 18.4% in the previous financial year. The increase in margins is mainly on account of increase in PCR testing carried out at our clinics. For pharmacies in GCC, revenue is at rupees 529 crore in Q3 FY21 compared to rupees 623 crore in Q3 FY20. EBITDA has decreased from rupees 88 crore in Q3 FY20 to rupees 59 crore in Q3 FY21, and the EBITDA margin is 11.2% in Q3 FY21 compared to 14% in Q3 FY20. The dip in the EBITDA and the EBITDA margin is mainly on account of reduction of footfalls during the quarter. Coming to the balance sheet, the group's net debt stands at rupees 2,488 crore as at 31st December 2020 compared to rupees 2,783 crore as at 31st March 2020, which is a reduction of rupees 296 crore. Excluding the forex impact, it is 244 crore. The breakup of net debt, India stands at rupees 342 crore compared to rupees 358 crore as at 31st March 2020, and in GCC, the net debt stands at $293 million compared to $324 million as at 31st March 2020. With various cost optimization initiatives undertaken during the year across manpower costs and procurement of materials, we
The line from Mr. Reddy is disconnected. Kindly stay on line till I reconnect him. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the management line reconnected to the call. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, sorry, lost the connection. Yeah, so with various cost optimization initiatives undertaken during the year across manpower costs and procurement of materials, we expect better profitability as footfalls of outpatient and inpatient increases once COVID impact wanes off. On that note, I conclude my opening remarks. We would be happy to give you our perspective on any questions that you may have. I would request the operator on this call to open the question and answer session. Thank you.
Srinath, just one small thing. I would request the operator to reconnect Ms. Alisha Mopan. I think her phone got disconnected.
So she's showing us connected. Let me disconnect her line and call her again.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Harith Ahmad from Spark Capital Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking my question. I was looking at your slide on pipeline projects, and I see that a couple of large projects have been put on hold, and this includes Chennai as well as Aster KLE in Bangalore. And at the same time, you've announced a large investment in Aster MedCity in Cayman Island. So a couple of questions here. Does this indicate a shift in your geographic priorities in terms of expansion? And what is the capex outlay for the Cayman project?
Yeah. So, Dr. Ajit, thank you for that question. And we have some of the, as you will see, some of the projects in India are already on, including the Aster Aadhar and the Whitefield Hospital, and these are things which are already on. So we thought that there is a requirement for us for, looking at the opportunity of significant business in close to US, Canada and all. When we put this together and when we were looking at the opportunities in India as well as in the Cayman, which came in with a lot of concessions from the government, we thought that we should take it up. So that is that's why we have thought that we should be looking at those geographies instead of just focusing India and GCC. We thought that beyond GCC we should be looking at that. This was the plan. Even earlier we had this intention to go beyond GCC. So that's the reason for that. And regarding the capex cost, it will be around 120 to 130 million US dollars, which is going to be the cost for this hospital when it is completed, which will take 3 years. About 3 years. That's what we are looking at.
All right.
To add to Dr. Harith, to add to what Dr. just now said, the shift of focus is not away from India. So we would like to continue growing in India. So the project, what you mentioned, was put on temporary hold due to COVID. We'll have a relook at this project once things goes back to normal. Maybe we are looking at other asset-light ventures within India, that is labs and pharmacies. The shift to Cayman is more a shift from GCC to Cayman. So the expansion in the GCC will be reduced, but that same thing is being now moved to Cayman. So India will be our focus, and we will continue to grow in India. Now coming to the capex, even though the cost of the total project is anywhere between 100 to 120 million US dollars, we are looking at various ways of structuring this. It could be partnership with some insurance companies. It could be partnership with some other hospital group, or it could be an asset-light model. So we are looking at various other ways of structuring it. We are aware that we should not be increasing our debt. So keeping that in mind, we will definitely look at other ways of structuring that project.
Okay, got it. And my second question is on the GCC hospital segment. And then looking at the segment on a YOY basis, there's a modest 3% decline in revenues, but I see a very sharp decline in EBITDA here of around 25%. So it's a bit surprising to see such a high margin contraction despite almost the same revenues. So what explains this?
Yeah. So one of the reasons is that if you look at the mix of the revenue, right? So that changes. So what has happened is that we have got, especially in the hospital, when there is a COVID patient getting admitted to the hospital, the margins on that is very, very minimal. So only on the clinic side where there is PCR testing, we get margins. But if a patient gets admitted into the hospital, then the margins are limited because we have got other fixed costs of the doctors, the specialist doctors, which will continue. And therefore, the margins as such will decrease in the hospitals. Similarly, clinics, like what I said, clinics, the margins tend to improve. But that also has got an impact on our clinics. The clinics, what happens is that the COVID patients who come to the clinics on the pharmacies, we don't get the benefit out of it. And that you would have noticed where there's a decline in the footfall. Because of all these factors, what happens is that even though the revenue has not fallen significantly, but the EBITDA margins are lower. The drop in EBITDA is higher, and also the margins will be lower.
Okay, just a follow-up there. So when I'm looking at the GCC hospital segment, ARPOBs for the quarter, if assuming COVID patients are margin dilutive, but it really doesn't reflect in the ARPOBs, right? ARPOB for the segment is higher on a YOY basis. So
right.
Can you explain that a bit?
Yeah. So see, in the hospitals, like what I was saying earlier, the occupancy has dropped to 47%, right? So, but however, this is the inpatient occupancy. But however, the outpatient continues to remain more or less the same. So when we calculate the ARPOB, because the outpatient revenue continues to remain, and the inpatient is on a lower number of beds, so as a mathematical formula, we see a higher ARPOB per bed, but in reality that is more because of the fall in the occupancy and the OPD revenues remaining high. That OPD revenues on a reduced number of beds, the per bed it shows higher number.
Okay, got it. I'll get back in the queue. Thanks.
Thank you. We would like to remind participants that you may press *1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Shyam Srinivasan from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for taking my question. The first one is on the outlook for Q4. Typically Q3, Q4 were the seasonally strong quarters. I believe that I think COVID seems to have moved things around. So just want to understand how we should look at Q4 now. And is there any in terms of revenue or EBITDA guidance that we're giving for Q4 / fiscal 21? Thanks.
Yeah. So just like what I was mentioning in my speech, there is actually an impact when you look at the business overall performance in quarter 4 so far when we look at. In these geographies, like in Dubai, where we have UAE, where we have most of the establishments, as well as in India, in Kerala, where we have the large establishments, the COVID is having now a second wave, or it's actually increasing. So we don't think that there will be a sudden reversal of that. So that what has been seen traditionally, that the very high performance during the Q3 and Q4, as we are now seeing in the Q3. Maybe this will be continuing in Q4 also. So a change in that and suddenly going into that very high performance, we don't expect that to happen. We hope that this will come down in another 2 months. By next financial year, it will be going into the normalcy. And what happens is that what has happened earlier also, when you look at our Q2, which was very good when compared to Q1, which usually doesn't happen. The Q2 usually is not that good. But this time we had very good Q2 results because of the pent-up demand in the Q1 coming into Q2. We hope that the same thing will happen. Once there is the wave goes down, we'll have a much better performance for the rest of the Q4 to some extent, maybe in March as well as in next financial year.
Got it. Thank you, Dr. Moopen. So if we just the 47% of hospital occupancy in, say, Q3, so you're saying this is trending lower in, say, Jan, Feb, maybe. Is that how we should look at it?
Srinath?
Yeah. So if you look in Dubai, Sham, the COVID cases are at the peak, and no doubt last few days it's been decreasing. So therefore it has got an impact on our facilities as well, because temporarily the elective cases have been put on hold, keeping the bed for the COVID patient. So we feel that once this is lifted, the temporary hold of the elective cases, we feel that we should be able to, the pent-up demand should come back. But having said that, definitely there will be an impact in Q4 as well, mainly because of the high number of COVID cases being reported in UAE. In India, what we are seeing is that Q4 we expect it to be better compared to Q3. But however, in the GCC, we expect Q4 to be more or less similar to Q3, because the same or similar impact we are seeing in Q4. Maybe March, if it changes, then we can see better performance.
Got it. Thank you. And my second question is on the whole restructuring we had done for the pharmacies, some of the adjustments we had to do because of the way patients were actually coming into these formats. Is that largely behind? Just looking at, if I look at the patient count, it's fallen quite a lot. So I'm just trying to understand, is that adjustment process for, say, clinics and more so for pharmacies, is that done now?
Yeah. So that is done and dusted. But the reason why the pharmacy as well as the clinic, like what Srinath was telling, the increase in revenue as well as the EBITDA in clinics is mainly due to the COVID testing, which is bringing in a lot of footfalls. But that doesn't take these patients into the pharmacy. So these patients just come to the clinic, get tested and go back, so that there's nothing else happening. But that revenue comes in. So the main issue is the reduction in the footfall. And what we have seen is that people used to come, especially during the seasons, the winter season and all, for large number of respiratory infections and many other illnesses. And people were mixing, and so infections were increasing. Children were going to the school and all. So that has, to a significant amount, come down. This has affected both the clinic as well as the pharmacy, where the footfalls have come down. So we think that this is more like the clinic, pharmacy, and of course those patients coming into the hospital. There is an issue in all this, but mainly in the clinics and pharmacy.
Got it. Thank you, Dr. Moopen. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to remind participants that you may press star 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Param Desai from Elara Securities. Please go ahead.
So what has been the COVID patient mix at GCC in India in Q3?
Yeah. Alisha, you would like to answer that?
Sure. Hi, Param. So when we look at the clinics, we have actually around 30 to 40% of our income coming from COVID right now, but that's on the clinic, largely on the testing that has picked up. In the hospitals, it's actually largely been going up in Q4. Just in January is when we have started seeing the admissions. Up until end of December, it was mainly managed by the government facilities. So to even the earlier question, we're now seeing, likely in Q4, we will have our occupancy going up closer to 70-80% with the way it's currently trending. But in Q3, it was mostly on the outpatients that we had the COVID income coming in. But that has a continuing effect in the hospitals because people are still reluctant to go for some of the electives because they would just rather not be near, going to the healthcare facilities, I guess. So it's just a little bit of a knock-on effect, which has reduced our footfalls into the hospitals.
Okay, thank you. And my next question is, as we have said, there has been sharp jump in margins in the clinic business, and we did mention about the PCR testing, which one of the factor. But what the sustainable margins in the clinic business, because we had initiated some restructuring initiatives also last year. So what are the margins in the clinic business one should factor in?
So our normalized margins, what we are expecting for clinics will be roughly around 15-16%. So with all the restructuring and with all the shared service center and also changing the models for the doctors on the structure, we assume that we will be able to get to a good 16% margin for clinics.
Okay, thank you. That's all from my side.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry to that question, whatever Alisha said, because that is pre-Ind AS 116 EBITDA margins. You'll have to add another 2%, so that will be the normal EBITDA what we are looking at on the clinic side.
Okay, got it, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mehul Sheth from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thanks for the opportunity. The question is around GCC hospital maturity profile-wise. So if I see the 0 to 3 year maturity profile hospitals, the EBITDA margin has jumped very sharply. If you see H2 EBITDA was somewhere around 21 crore and now in 9 months it has reached to 40 crore. So what is driving this kind of a strong margin or the EBITDA performance in new hospital in GCC?
Yeah. So the reason for that is that some of the larger facilities, which is more than 3 years old, which is in Oman and Saudi, they have, in fact, there the performance is lower. So that is the reason over 3 years you will find that drop. However, the hospitals which is less than 3 years, because they are mainly in the UAE, where we tend to do better. Our hospitals in the UAE, we do better compared to the hospitals in other geographies. So that explains as to why 0 to 3 years we are better in terms of occupancy. But however, over 3 years our occupancy, especially we had a dip in the occupancy in Saudi, one of the largest facilities, due to COVID, and that pulls down the overall occupancy levels.
Okay. Also, one question around, like you just mentioned that vaccination program in UAE has reached somewhere around 34% of population are already vaccinated. So is there any time gap, like from one dose between 2 doses of vaccination? There is any kind of a restriction for not to attain any medical treatment or anything like that, so which can hamper a demand for a near term. So just want to have your view on that.
Actually, there is no restriction on availing medical treatment. People are afraid and people don't go out. So people, once they are vaccinated, both doses are taken, and after 2 or 3 weeks after that, we hope that it will be more confident and will come out. There is no restriction from the authorities for getting any treatment.
Okay, just want to have just a bookkeeping question. The guidance for the tax rate for a Q4 and FY 22-23, like it seems pretty low right now.
What's that? I didn't get that question. What was that?
Your tax guidance for Q4 as well as FY 22 and FY 23. What will be your tax rate?
Srinath?
Yeah. So see the tax, many of the geographies, for example, UAE, we don't have tax. India, we have got tax. So that the way to look at it is on a consolidated basis, you can look at around 7 to 8% as tax.
This will continue even for 22-23?
Yeah. It'll remain more or less the same. Maybe as the India income keeps increasing, this percentage will slightly keep increasing.
Yeah. Also, the last question around India business. So if I do some back envelope calculation, then I can get Aster Labs sales somewhere around 22 crores so for the Q3. But the EBITDA margin means EBITDA is now negative, showing negative numbers. So is this calculation is correct or understanding is correct about Aster Lab performance for the Q3?
Dr. Rajesh?
Yeah, Mehul, thanks for the question. So currently, when we look at the mix of revenue, the biggest chunk of the revenue is coming from the hospitals itself. As you know that Aster Lab Vertical has also taken over the management of the labs, and we are currently in transition stage. We are fairly confident that by Q4, we will be rationalizing the transition of allocation of the costs between the hospitals and the labs.
Okay.
So this is basically because of the work in progress. And we also see a growing trend in non-Aster business, that's mainly from B2C models. And as that share increases, we will feel that this will come down to a rational figure.
And last question, if you permit, on your Saudi, you have acquired remaining 3% from now it's like 100% hospital for you. So will this have any impact on your minority outgo and on? It will get reduced going ahead?
Yeah, slightly because not much, because earlier we were at 97%. Now we are at 100%. So that will make a very, very small difference.
And on Saudi side, how the receivables cycle is there in now after pre-COVID, post-COVID era, how your working capital cycle has been there in GCC region?
Yeah, so that is something which in fact many of the governments have been pushing for the payout, and both in the GCC as well as in India, we saw significant money which was locked into the receivables that getting unlocked. In terms of payment cycles, yes, it takes roughly around 110 days in the GCC.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your time and best of luck in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sriram Rathi from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, sir. So firstly, I think one of the previous questions you mentioned that when you are looking for asset-light expansion in the labs and pharmacies in India. So just wanted to get some sense on what exactly is the strategy, any size that we have in mind over the next 3-4 years we want to reach, and what kind of expansion we can expect.
Srinath, you would like to answer that? I didn't clearly hear that question.
I didn't get the question. If the question can be repeated, please.
Yes, so basically I was asking that in one of the previous questions you mentioned that you are looking for asset-light expansion in the labs and pharmacies business in India. So anything specific that you want to mention on that? Any more color you can provide on that, and any size that you have in mind in terms of let's say in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So Dr. Harish, you would like to answer that related to the labs and pharmacies?
Yes. So first, let me take the lab model.
the way we are looking at is phase one strategies to grow our presence in the markets where we are predominantly strong, mainly in the 5 states where we have a presence, with a larger presence in the states of Kerala and Karnataka. So when we refer to an asset-light model, the bulk of the presence would be franchisee centers where we have these phlebotomists and the sample collection takes place. So where we have absolutely no capex outlay for that. But the satellite labs will have a minuscule investment, and of course the reference lab, currently we have just one reference lab. So in comparison to our traditional business model, this is clearly an asset-light approach. With reference to the pharmacy aspect, currently we are looking at wholesale, acquiring a wholesale entity, and we are also looking at a brand licensing agreement on the retail side with another entity. So that's the approach what we are looking at. So we feel that it need not be restricted only to the geographies where we have hospitals. It can also be expanded to other geographies, because clearly there will be a value addition in terms of brand visibility, and that's the approach which we are planning to pursue.
Okay, got it. Thanks for that, sir. And so secondly, just again a follow-up from the previous participant question. I mean, in the GCC less than 3 years hospitals, I mean, of course, this quarter the EBITDA margin has moved up to almost 22%, versus I mean, mature hospitals margin of 17%. So I mean, was there any specific reason for that, particularly related to the COVID patient or something, or anything specific to that?
Yeah. Yes. On the GCC hospitals, is it, Sriram? So,
yes.
So like I think Srinath had mentioned before, basically some of the newer hospital of ours, which are in Dubai, which is in the 0 to 3 categories, have been doing well. The impact, just the post-wave 1 impact has, with the restrictions, have been still harder in Oman and Saudi for us. So it's just that they've been trending a little bit lower. So we're just seeing a little bit difference between the different geographies. UAE is still doing better, much better compared to some of the other geographies. So that's why when you look at it from a maturity perspective, it's getting a bit skewed.
Okay, got it. So basically this is something which is sustainable, nothing, I mean, one-off in that, right?
No. Yeah, it's sustainable, absolutely. And we expect the other ones to recover back, Oman and things, as sort of the economy picks up there.
Sure, got it. Thank you. And I mean, now just on the other expenses side, I mean, it has been quite volatile over the last 3-4 quarters, like 290 crores in Q1 and then 420 crores in Q2 and then 360 crores around this quarter. So I mean, what kind of the run rate that we can expect that, I mean, that will continue, because I mean, it has been quite volatile in terms of quantum.
Yeah. So that will be more or less. Yeah, go ahead, Alish.
Yeah, I think this is largely the expenses are coming from COVID-related, the diagnostics test, right? So we've also been aggressively pursuing it because it's a requirement in the market and sort of a keen business a development that happens there as well. So it's related to that. You've been seeing it consistently growing up in the last couple of quarters, and the numbers here have also risen. So accordingly, the volume of done have also risen. So you're seeing that increase happening quarter on quarter, especially in the last few months as the cases have risen up.
Okay. So, I mean, it should normalize to, I mean, current run rate now, whatever we've seen in Q3.
Yeah. I mean, again, depending on how COVID trends, right? So if we continue to have these numbers going up and we're doing those testings as well, they'll stay. But again, it is still high margin for us.
Okay, got it. So in terms of capex, I mean, what kind of numbers we are looking at for full year of FY21 and then probably in the next 2 years?
Srinath, you want to take that?
So capex. Yeah. So capex, we are looking at for the current full year somewhere around 300 crores. So that is the capex what we are looking at in the current year. And next year, it could be somewhere in the range of 400 crores. But however, we will control it in case the COVID continues. But if the COVID wanes off, then the capex will be around 400 crores. Because some of the projects in India will be moving forward. So due to which the capex will be around 400. But in the current year, we are looking at closing at around 300 crores.
Okay, got it. And Cayman Island capex will be over and above that whenever it comes.
Yeah, Cayman Island, like what I said, it will be over and above that. But then we are looking at various other ways of funding the project.
Sure. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shashank Krishna Kumar from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for taking my question. This is on the GCC pharmacy margin front. So I'm assuming there's no component of volume rebates that we generally receive during the quarter. So margins inch up substantially in 4Q.
Yeah. So yes, you are right, because the margin rebates which we received last year, this time round we have not received much of it. So mainly to do with the volume. So beyond a certain volume, we do get rebates, but if the business is lower, the volume rebates don't come in. We expect the pharmacies, if you look at during the current quarter, we are doing better off compared to the previous quarter. So we expect that we should be eligible for some of the volume rebates in the coming quarters.
Okay, that's helpful. And secondly, on the shared services front, so we had talked about shifting some of our back-end operations to India by 4Q. So is that on track?
Amitabh, you would like to answer that?
Sure, Srinath. Thank you very much. Yeah. So a quick response to that, yes, we are on track for that. We've already gone to the point of identifying the opportunity and identifying the roles, and the new centers are coming up in Bangalore and Calicut. So yes, we are on track for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Divyansh Karla from Perpetuity Ventures. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. I had a question.
There is a disturbance coming from your line, sir, from the background, and I would request you to speak a bit louder.
Okay. Hello. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. So my question was, as Mr. Reddy explained, that ARPOB level is higher despite of lower occupancy because of outpatient revenue in GCC hospitals. So can you share the percentage of hospital revenue out of total revenue from GCC hospitals for the last quarter, and what is the normalized level? So that and same thing for India hospital. What is outpatient revenue as a percentage of total revenue from hospital? Yeah. That was my first question.
Yeah. So I was not able to hear the question properly. There was some disturbance. You were asking for the cost of the hospitals, is it?
No, sir. So I was asking total outpatient revenue from hospitals as a percentage of total revenue from GCC hospitals for the last quarter, and what is the normalized level? Yeah. And what is the normalized level, and what is for last for this quarter?
Yeah. So as a percentage of revenue, different geographies have got different percentages.
Okay.
So in the UAE, if you look at, so it averages at around close to 50%. That is on the OPD. Yeah.
Okay.
OPD to the inpatient. So significant portion of our business comes to the OPD. So in India, a major part of the business comes from the inpatient. So India OPD will contribute around 20%, but 80% comes through inpatient.
And so this is for last quarter or normalized level, so back in FY20. So I just wanted to compare, because the reason for higher ARPOB, as told by Mr. Reddy, was contribution from OPD was good, but due to lesser occupancy, we were seeing higher ARPOBs in last quarter. So I just wanted to compare what was the percentage in last quarter and what is the normalized level.
Yeah. So I've given you the general trend of the outpatient and inpatient. Specifically for this quarter and the last quarter, that is something which we can give it separately to you offline.
Okay, fine. So my second question was, sir, this was a technical question, sir. So I have a lesser understanding of GCC market. So, sir, do insurance companies cover the treatment that patients get from clinics and pharmaceutical expenses of patients? Because in India, there is only inpatient revenue is reimbursed from insurance companies. So
yeah. So over here, GCC, right. So over here, yes, they do cover outpatient and also they cover the medicine, even for the outpatient also. Yeah.
Okay. And so we entered into some high margin protein products and other products in our pharmacy. So that won't be getting reimbursed, right?
You are right. So non-medicines generally don't get paid by the insurance. So that is something which will be more of a cash business. So nutritional products and other things generally doesn't get covered by insurance.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was my question. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for participating actively in this quarter earnings call, and we hope that we'll be able to, all of us will be staying safe, and we look forward for a positive quarter, both by way of health as well as in the financial performance. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Elara Securities Private Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.
Thank you.
Thank you.